Okay, welcome to another video. So today we're going to start with October November 2021 Physics O Levels Paper 1 Variant 2. Let's start with question number 1. It says a boy starts at P and walks 3 meter due north from P to Q and then 4 meter east from Q to R. What is the shortest distance that he must walk to have an overall displacement of 0? Because of these two displacements 3 and 4 distances 3 and 4, there is a displacement which is 5, because displacement is the shortest distance between 2 points. So if somebody is walking from P to Q and then Q to R, P to R is a direct distance and this is 90 degree. When you apply Pythagoras you're going to get 5. So he has to travel back 5 meters to achieve the displacement 0. So it should be 5. A student investigates the motion of the ball fall, falling during through the air. Which quantity is a vector quantity? The diameter of the ball is a scalar quantity. The gravitational force is always a vector. Distance is a scalar. Speed is also scalar. So it's B. A car slides down a slope. Which diagram shows how the speed varies with the time? Is average acceleration during the 6 seconds. So all you need to do is you need to take acceleration at different points and then you take average of that. Like for the first part, if you want to take acceleration of the first part, it is going to be these 2 points. This is straight line, so I don't need to take a tangent of this. So that will be 0. 1.2 minus 0 is at the denominator and 10 minus 0 is at the numerator. When you're going to solve this, so let's check out with the calculator. Just give me a second. So it is going to be 10 divided by 1.2, that is going to give you 8.3. Since you know the after this the gradient is decreasing, because if I'm going to take tangent here it's going to get less value, then if I'm going to take tangent here it's going to get less value. So these two are not possible. Now moving to this, when I got the tangent and I applied the formula of the gradient, if you want to know how to take the gradient of the tangent, you can consult your maths subject, where you need to take the gradient of the graph. So it is going to give you something like 4 point something, because 2.2 is very small. When I calculated through the tangents, it always gives me 4.3. A solid object immersed in water hangs from a elastic thread. Three forces acts on the object: its weight, tension in the thread, and the force F from the water. The force F acts upward. Which equation is correct when object is stationary? Since force is upward and tension also is upward, therefore these two forces T plus F has to be equal to weight. So if I'm going to take to this side, this is going to be T minus W plus F is equals to 0. So that is going to be D. In question number 5, it says the diagram shows the car going around a circular track at a constant speed, which arrow shows the direction of the resultant force of the car. Resultant force is always towards the center of circle. An object in a laboratory is used to determine the gravitational field strength, which quantity is equals to G. Since you know W is equals to mg, so G will be equals to W divided by m, so it is weight divided by mass. A student measurement to find the density of the regular shaped object, which formula is used to calculate the density of the block. Density is equals to mass over volume. You need to know this formula. 4 solid objects are made from the same material, have equal volumes. Which is the most suitable? The one with the greater base area, so that is going to be the most stable, because two things are related to stability. One is the center of mass. If the center of mass is lower, the object is stable. If the base area is greater, the object is stable. So this has both. Center of mass is somewhere here and it has the greater base area. A metal wire is stretched by the force F up to the limit of proportionality. Which statement describes what happens to the F when F is increased slightly? The wire breaks. No, it's not brittle. The wire continues to extend but not in direct proportion to F. Yes, since after limit of proportionality they will be not direct in a direct proportion relationship. Piston X is pushed in a hydraulic cylinder. Piston X is produced a pressure Px. The liquid cylinder diagram shows the cylinder viewed from the above. There are two pistons of the X and Y. The pressure in the piston Y and Z. The pressure in the pistons Y and Z are P by Pz. What is the relationship between X, Py, Pz? You need to remember, in a hydraulic system, every piston has the same pressure. So Px is equals to Pz is equals to Py. It is the force that is going to get varied when you change the area. Pressure remains the same. Air is trapped in a cylinder by a piston. The pressure of the air is P. The length of the air column is 20 centimeter. The piston is moved outward. The length of the air column increased by 40 centimeter. Temperature of the air remains constant. What is the new pressure? First of all, since this has a base area of A, we can take it A. So the volume will be A times 20. That is going to give you the volume of this. So 20A is your V1. P1 is given as P. V2 is 20 plus 40 60 and times A, because it is base area times height, and P2 is the one that we need to know. So we'll apply the formula. P1 V1 is equals to P2 V2. P1 is small p, this is 20A, this is P2, this is V2. A 60 kg ice skater traveling initially at 3 meter per second glides across a horizontal icy surface. The skater brakes and comes to rest after 5 meters. The work done against braking force is changed to kinetic energy of the skater. What is the braking force? So since it says the work done is equals to kinetic energy, so I'm going to apply this formula. Now force is the one that we need to find out. Distance is 5, 1 by 2, mass is 60, and V is given as 3 square. So when you're going to solve this, this is going to give you 54. Which equation is used to find the efficiency of the energy transfer? Useful energy output over total energy input? Yes, that is. Total energy input, no, that's wrong, because this has to go down and this has to go up. Energy converted to required form over total, no. This is energy and this is power. They both should be energy, or either both should be power. Energy converted to the required form, multiply, no, it's not multiply, it's divide. So it is going to be A. The diagram shows the refrigerator. When a refrigerator is switched on, what happens to the air near the cooling unit? The molecules of the air become smaller. The molecules never changes their size. All they do is they move either close to each other or they move away from each other. So since it's cooling, so it's going to move close to each other. So B and A is wrong. And the density of the air increases rather, because it is getting cooler, and so density will be greater, so that's why they sink downwards. What is the color and what is the texture of the good absorber of the infrared radiation? Black and dull surfaces are good absorbers of infrared. Black is but shiny not. White and shiny they do not. White and dull, white does not, dull does. But in B, the both black and dull. Which temperature are used as a lower and upper fixed point for the mercury in glass thermometer? Lower fixed point is the freezing point, but it has to be freezing point of water, and boiling point of water is for upper fixed point. Two liquid in glass thermometer have identical dimensions. One contains ethanol, the other have other an equal volume of mercury. Ethanol expands more than mercury for the same temperature rise. How do sensitivity and range of ethanol thermometer compare to those of mercury? Sensitivity will be greater, but range will be smaller, because for the sensitivity, since it's going to expand more, so for the very small reading it's going to give a good deflection. But since we are not changing the length of the thermometer column, therefore the range will decrease then. Solar panels are used to heat the water with a mass 500 kg. The total area of the solar panel is 10 meters square. The average power output for each meter square of the panel is 300. Since they are 10 meters square and each meter is this, so this will be 3000 watts. Heat capacity is given. What is the increase in water temperature after 8 hours? So this has to multiply with 8 times 3600 is equals to mass. Specific heat capacity is given, and we need to check out the temperature. So it is going to be 3000 times 8 times 3600 divided by 500 divided by 4200. So that has to be 41. The graph in the temperature time graph for the sample of the wax is heated, so it melts. The mass of the wax is 200 gram. The thermal energy supplied to the wax at the constant rate is 1200 joules per minute. What is specific latent heat? Since it started to melt at 3 minutes and it melted completely at 7 minutes, so it takes 4 minutes. So 4 times 12,000 is going to be 48,000 joules. This is the energy, and you know the formula is E is equals to mLF. Energy is 48,000, mass is 200 grams, LF is the one that you need to know. Divide that by, so you'll get 240. The temperature of the four beakers are different, and areas of the surfaces of water are also different. Which beaker is the rate of evaporation of the water greatest? Surface area has to be greatest, so, and the temperature also has to be greater. The diagram shows one of the wavefront as it travels from deeper water to shallow water in the ripple tank. What happens to as the wavefront moves into the shallow water? Whenever it moves, the wavelength decreases, speed decreases, but frequency remains same. Speed of the wavefront increases, speed of wavefront decreases. Which example describes the transverse being refracted? Infrared waves traveling in an optical fiber being refracted. Okay. Light waves from an object entering into a magnifying glass. Yes. Ultrasound waves being used. This is not transverse. Water waves hitting the barrier. That is diffraction. So it is B. Light reflects from the plane mirror as shown. Which row is always correct? Since this Y has to be incident, R has to be this. So this should be R and X should be equal to Y, because angle of incidence should be equal to angle of reflection. The piece of torn paper from the exercise book is shown. The object is further away from the lens than the focal point. The image is upside down. What is the possible process is being described? It is formation of a real image, because upside down is not a virtual. Virtual is always upright. So it is a formation of the real image by converging lens, because you see when something is after focal point, it is going to go this way, one wave, and it is going to bend and pass through this, and then it just passes through this is going to form an upside down. So it's a converging lens. A girl is long sighted. Which statement is correct? Long sighted means that she sees the object which are farther away from her clearly, but the closer objects are not that clearly. So which statement is correct? She sees a close object less clearly than the person. Yes. The light rays are deviated by a prism. The angle of deviation for the light rays for the different frequencies includes blue light and red light. So when we studied about, like, when it got dispersed, these are the colors you're going to get, R and this is V. So the rather than by going straight, R bends this way and V bends this way. It means R has the smallest angle of deviation, while blue or violet being the greatest angle of deviation, right? So and in the frequency, R has a greatest wavelength, because in the order of, this is a order of increasing wavelength and decreasing frequency. So R has a lowest frequency, so R has to be this way. So B and D is wrong, B and A is wrong. Now that has smaller frequency and it has a smaller angle of deviation. So that's D. A satellite orbits Earth at a height of 300 km above the surface. The speed of electromagnetic waves is what is the minimum time taken for the radio signals transferred from the Earth to reach the satellite. Uh, this is given in kilometers. What we need to do is we need to find out this in meters. This is meters. Uh, Distance divided by speed. This is 3 into 10 to the power of 5. This is 3 into 10 to the power of 8. 1 into 10 to the power of minus 3. So that's C. Which of the following is the most closely associated with the echoes? Focusing, reflection, refraction, total internal reflection. Focusing is not has nothing to do with it. Reflection nothing to do with this. Yes, reflection and total internal reflections are there, but in total internal reflection, there is a condition that the object has to travel from a denser medium to the rare medium. But in echoes, there is no condition, such condition. So it's B, simple reflection. Ultrasound scanner produces an image of an unborn baby. What does the scanner use to form an image of a baby? So it is ultrasound absorbed by the baby. If it is absorbed, you cannot give the image. Emitted by ultrasound or not emitted. Ultrasound are part of the scanner. Emitted by part of scanner. Ultrasound reflected by the baby. Yes, it's not refracted, so it's reflected. Small plotting compass is placed near the bar magnet, which diagram shows. Okay, so field line will go from here to here and the direction is this way, so the north will point to this way. A positive charge rod is held near but not touching insulated and previously uncharged metal ball. No charge leaves the rod. What is the possible charge on the left side and the right side of the ball? So since this is positive, so this has to be negative here and it has to be positive here. So on the left side it is going to be a negative charge and the right side it is going to be a positive charge. But like in A it is negative, both negative, that's not possible. In D it is positive on the left and negative on the right, that's also not possible. But for B and C, you can see on the negative, it is on the left hand side it is negative, both negative. On the right hand side it's both positive. But problem is that amperes are not the unit of the charge; it is the coulombs. So it has to be C. Mostly student gets confused that they need, like, they started calculating the values. All you need to do is to read the question very carefully. Sometimes even units can tell you the answers. Which circuit is connected to measure the current in the fixed resistor and the potential difference across the same resistor? So for the potential difference of the resistor, they both are connected correctly. V is not in series, V is not in series, and this is going to measure the voltage across both. It has to be measuring across the same resistor, so it's going to be a quantity X and a quantity Y has the same unit Z. X is energy dissipated by the battery in driving unit charge along the unit circuit. Y is the work done in the component by driving unit through the component. What is X, Y? X is the definition of EMF, Y is the definition of potential difference, and they both have volts as a unit. A transformer has an efficiency of 100%. The primary voltage input is 600, secondary output voltage is this. The secondary coil attached to the resistor is this. So the power on this side has to be equal to the power on this side. So let's calculate the power here. Since P is equals to V square over R, this is 240 square over 120, so that is going to give you 480. So it means this is A and B is wrong, because the power on the primary coil should also be 480. Now we need to find out the current. Since we got 480 as a power here, so we'll use P is equal to VI. Power is 480, voltage is 600. 600 has to go and divide. When you're going to calculate it, it's going to give you 0.8. The diagram shows a alarm system in which switch S is shown closed. The top circuit is arranged so that the electromagnetic is positioned over the soft iron contact. What happens when the switch S is opened? As the switch S is opened, this will not be the magnetic now, since it's an electromagnet and there is no electricity, so it will not be a magnet. It is going to drop this iron contact. It will meet this metal and it will start, bell will start ringing. So iron contact drops and bell will start ringing. The diagram shows the LED connected to the in the circuit with the resistor and AC supply of frequency 2 Hz. Which statement is correct? Since it's 2 Hz, so it means it is 2 cycles per second. 2 cycles of positive and 2 cycles of negative, right? So LED flashes on twice each second and off twice each second. This is going to be the answer, because when it's going to go this way, it is going to get flashed. When it's going to go to reverse, it's not going to flash, because diode does not allow the current to flow from the opposite direction. So 2 cycles will pass through it, which are positive. 2 cycles of the negative will not pass through it, so it will flash twice and it will not flash. Which statement about production of electricity in the nuclear power station is correct? In the reactor, main reaction occurs when the proton hits the uranium. No, proton never hits the uranium, it's a neutron. The process takes place in the reactor is called nuclear fusion, that's fission. The reactor produces energy to boil the water and produce steam. Yes, this is the main purpose of nuclear power station. Carbon dioxide is the major waste. No, that's not wrong. Correct. So 38 is a radioactive sample contains an isotope that emits alpha particle. Which quantity stays constant? So mass of the sample will decrease, the number of neutrons the sample will decrease, the decay rate will also decrease, only half-life remains the same. In the sample model of an atom, X orbits around Y. So X is electron and Y is a nucleus. That's very easy, that you might have studied in your previous classes. How do proton number, atomic number and nucleon number and mass number of these two different isotopes of the same element compared with each other? In isotopes, the proton numbers need to remain same, so A and B is wrong. So same, but nucleon number is different, so it is going to be C. So that's it. I hope you've learned something from here. If you have any confusion, you can comment about the confusion. I'm going to explain that in detail. Till the next paper, see you, bye bye.